Welcome to another fun-filled hashtag Football Friday edition of Second City Sports. We're live and in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago, along with Miss Kim McGee, which is she. I am Sydney Brownhead. That's me. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter and the IG at CK80. Once again, it's CK80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You can follow me at Lakeena and McGee on the Twitter and at Lakeena McGee on the IG.
Make sure you download that Sports Zone Chicago app wherever you get your apps. You want to know why? Because we said so, that's why. And also, too, you can catch other live shows that are airing throughout the week. So if you happen to miss them, you can go back and watch them and listen to them at your own leisure. Make sure you download that Sports Zone Chicago app today. And speaking of the Sports Zone Chicago, please follow us on all social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Once again, please follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms. If you want to subscribe to our podcast, the audio version, you can do so by subscribing to War on Anchor. We are available on all podcast platforms, including the iHeartRadio app. Make sure you type this in your search engine boxes. You ready? WARR on Anchor. Once again, WARR on Anchor. We are available on all podcast platforms. And give War Media a follow while you're at it at WARR Media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Once again, at War Media on all social media platforms. Thank you very much in advance for your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends.
We are unapologetically fun, and we have very definite opinions. If you have any definite opinions during our 2-hour extravaganza we call a Sports Talk Radio Show, you can always hit us up in the comments section at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in your questions or comments in the comments section. Lakeena will get them up on the screen for you. But if you decide to troll and or do something stupid or something wild that we do not approve of, I'm giving Lakeena full power to give you fools to build and be a boot.
Bye-bye.
I love when she says that. But before we begin, we must remind you, you can also catch Sports Zone Chicago now available on Roku TV. That's right. Celebrate with the squad, give the program, and join the movement. Sports Zone Chicago is now on Roku TV. If you already have a Roku television, just tap on the sports folder and access Sports Zone Chicago through that avenue. If you don't have a Roku TV, that's okay. You have a Chromebook like I'm using right now, your PC, iPad, iTouch, iPhone, your Android phone, just any of those devices, just download that Roku TV app and access Sports Zone Chicago. So celebrate with the squad, get with the program. Sports Zone Chicago is now on Roku TV 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, live and on demand.
Yes, anytime, anywhere, wherever you want. So if it's at 2 a.m, you need something to watch, and listen to, come join watch our show, Sean and Maya, Smoke Fellas, What's Up Cuz, all the other great shows, other stuff we got coming up. What's up, Lamont? Our buddy Lamont here, checking in on Facebook, and Sid, as you guys can see the scroll on the screen there. Let's get to it and talk some Bulls. Wah, wah. Bulls was a tough one. Lose a tough one against Boston. This after losing DeMar DeRozan on Monday, with a quad. He tripped over Al Horford's foot. You kind of tell that he did pull something. So, but you look at least the Bulls. They could have been blown out, but they didn't. Zach LaVine did what he could. Some of the other supporting guys did what they could to try, to keep it going. But it wasn't enough. The Celtics were able to hold them off. But Wednesday's game against the Wizards, our buddy, I'll do this. Shout out to our buddy, Big Dave Watson from CHGO Bulls. He and Matt Pack and Will Gottlieb, of course. No, we gotta get Will on, of course. Matt, a friend of the show as well. Excuse me. The Wizards, they didn't have Porzingis. They didn't have Beal, though. They're both still, Beal's been out for a while, but Porzingis has now with a hamstring. They should.
They didn't have Daniel Gafford, the former Bull, either.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and they should have. Even though they didn't have DeRozan, they should have won this game. They were up 15 at the half. The Wizards scored 41 points in the third. Let me say that again: 41 points in the third. Kyle Kuzma, of course, he's still there. He had 21 points, leading the way there. Excuse me, I can't talk today because I'm so upset. Monte Morris, I should say, had 17 points for them. And there might have been some, the calls were iffy and stuff like that, but there was no excuse for the Bulls to lose against a Wizards team. No disrespect to Kuzma, Taj Gibson, former Bull had 9 points. So we still love Taj here, but There was no way in the world. They were only 7 for 23 from free 3-point range. I'm talking about the Wizards. Yeah, the foul discrepancies were a little bit off, but there was no excuse. The Bulls should have held that lead. We know DeRozan. This is where they missed DeRozan. DeRozan would not have let that get to that point. So Sid, what do you think? I mean, if you saw our buddy Big Dave's rant on the post came on CHGO Bulls, I kind of have to agree. You should not have lost against the Wizards. No shade to the Wizards. No shade to those guys. That's actually a pretty with Porzingis and Beal. That's actually a pretty decent team. But Sid, go ahead because I'm losing it here.
Yeah, it all comes down to team defense. Lakeena, we talked about it all year. The Bulls, especially letting guys up the middle in the lane, that's been a problem all year long. It was a problem the other night at Washington, and that's how the Wizards got back in the game. I know it's human nature for any team to get up big to just take their foot off the gas, but the Bulls, they're not that team that you could just take your foot up off the gas and then put your foot back down when you feel like you're not that type of team. You're not Golden State. You're not Denver. You're not Phoenix when healthy, and you're not Milwaukee or Philadelphia. So you cannot afford to do that. You had to put your pedal to the metal, expression, and play 48 minutes. And the Bulls did not do that. It came down to the third quarter. That was a big difference in the game. And Zach LaVine, he did with all he could. I get to his lack of decision making in just a moment. But outside of Zach LaVine, you really didn't get much help. I know Kobe White scored 13 points off the bench, and Alex Caruso came up with some big buckets in that fourth quarter. But outside of that, Zach LaVine did not get much help. And the Bulls played catch up in the fourth quarter. Actually, they tied the game late on a three-point attempt for Zach LaVine. And then you let Kyle Kuzma go off and give the Wizards the lead, which led up to the win. But Lakeena, we always talk about this in football all the time, especially when we reference Bill Belichick, or Bill Belichick, as we call him on this show, situational football. You have to know the situation in basketball too. The Wizards took the lead at 197. I know Zach LaVine was complaining about a potential no foul call at the end there when he took the 2 instead of the 3. Still take the 3. Anything can happen within 5 seconds, Lakeena. You still take the 3. And if you make it, great. If you miss it, so be it. But I am so sick and tired of this team, in particular Zach LaVine. I know DeMar DeRozan, I know he didn't play, but DeMar DeRozan is still is starting to get the calls now. But I know Zach LaVine is still not getting the calls. And I know some instances is justified, but I am so sick and tired of him complaining every single damn time. Know the situation, take the 3. Instead of doing that, you take the 2, miss it. Then right before the time runs out, you complain to the referee. Get your ass back out there, play defense, and foul the player. It makes no sense. And you cannot blame this. I know some people want to blame Billy Donovan for this, but the players got to hold themselves accountable. This is Zach LaVine. They got to look himself in the mirror right here. He's been playing well over the last couple of weeks, Lakeena, and then for that to happen the other night, he's just regressed some in my eyes.
Well, and also too, Vooch was wide open, so he was right there where the 3 spot is. I mean, if we could hit the 3, and look, if he missed it, okay, that's fine. At least he was wide open. At least he tried, and you saw the guy. But I don't know what Zach's mindset was. He had a brain fart there, I guess. I don't know why he didn't just take the 3 and take the chance of I don't know who that was that was near him. I forgot who it was, but if he fouls you, okay, fine. Make 3 free throws. If you miss it, if he blocks it, okay, yeah. But at least you try it. Now we know everybody's been saying, "Hey, let Zach get a chance to try it." Okay, he did, and he failed miserably. And the comments afterwards didn't help him. So. But it looks like he's banged up too, so he might miss tonight's game against OKC. It looks like DeRozan's going to be out as well. Even with that, I mean, I know there's got to be somebody in the Windy City Bulls roster they may have to bring up to kind of try to sort of keep things tame. But the Thunder, they pulled off a couple upsets too. We'll get that in a second this week. We'll get to that in a minute. But it's sort of one of those things where, look, even though despite all this, they're still like right there in the middle of it in the play-in. The East, a lot of the teams have kind of, come at earth a little bit. I'll get to my my Pacers. Unfortunately, they've had a couple of bad, not so good losses, so they've been, coming back to earth a little bit. The Knicks have been up and down. The Sixers, I know Embiid's been out and such, but they're still. The Heat are kind of up and down. Atlanta, they kind of regressed a little bit mightily. So. Oddly enough, the Bulls actually still have a shot to try to at least, if not, get out of the play-in, but at least get to that top 6. So for me, I mean, it's the little things you got to clean up. They got to clean up the little things. They got to everybody's got to stay healthy. They got to see if they can, get, maybe the Windy City Bulls guys to try to help out and give that a little bit of a spark. So it's despite of all that, they're still like right there. So I know people are mad and upset, but look, it could be a lot worse. That's all I'll say about that.
You're listening to Second City Sports on the hashtag Football Friday edition right here on Sports Zone Chicago. We're live in the living color. Sid, Lakeena here discussing the Chicago Bulls. We'll discuss the rest of the NBA coming up on the flip side of this break. Lakeena, there's a couple of positive signs that we could take from the Bulls this week. I'll jump on your side of the fence here, no pun intended. I like the way Ayo Dosunmu has been playing, getting back his starting position. I know he had 8 points and 4 rebounds and 3 dimes on Wednesday against the Washington Wizards, but his defense has stepped up a little bit. He's been a little bit more aggressive offensively too. One of the questions coming into the season was, can he run the show? I think at times he could do that, but he's still learning. And I like the way he's been playing over these last few games. Nikolai Vucevic, in the loss at Boston on Monday, he had 21 points, 13 rebounds. He had 15 and 10 against Washington on Wednesday, but I would like to see him, especially if Zach LaVine cannot play tonight against OKC, Vucevic becomes the main guy. And if that's the case, this is a perfect time for the Bulls to establish him, especially in the post. Yep. How many times we talked about it, Lakeena, throughout the season? Vucevic is looking to get the ball in the post more than last year. He had some matchup advantages last year. That didn't happen on a consistent basis. It started off hot in the season and cooled off for a while, but now we're starting to see Vucevic demanding the ball in the post. Hopefully the Bulls can do that a little bit more, and they can do that starting tonight against OKC.
And they should be able to do that too. I mean, we know Vucevic's actually been playing very well. He's also been one of the bright spots in this 2-game losing streak. So if he has to kind of be like the floor general or be kind of like the leader, he should be able to do that. I mean, I know Ayo, I'm sure he'll step up tonight. P. Will should be able to step up tonight as well. I don't know if Javonte Green's going to be able to play. He did practice limited, all week, so we'll see if he'll be able to play tonight. I mean, I know OKC, I know they got the Bulls in their first meeting, but they're sort of like one of those teams where you don't know which one you're going to get. I know they got a lot of great young talent on there, but it's going to be interesting. And also to the Bulls, we'll get to the rest of their schedule after the break, but they got Golden State. They which is on a Sunday. We'll talk about that once we get to that. They got Detroit over in Europe. They should be able to win that game because I know Cade Cunningham is out for the year, so they should. I know they've been up and down too, so they should be able to win that game. Atlanta, they got to play not this Monday, but next Monday. Then they got Indiana. They've kind of like I said, they've fallen back to earth. Charlotte, Orlando. So they got a shot to get some wins here, and all we need is the consistency. That's been the big problem for the Bulls this year. It's been the lack of consistency, and I think that's been sort of the thing that's really been annoying me. And tonight is Vooch night. I think that's what our mom would say. Vooch nights. Yeah, so I'm sure he'll probably have a career game and such. He'll probably, hopefully the Bulls win, even better. So
I was going to ask you too. Yeah, what do you expect from tonight's game? Assuming that DeMar and/or Zach doesn't play, besides being a Vooch night, what are the players that you expect to see step up tonight? I'm looking for P. Will to step up and Ayo Dosunmu to continue his great play. I'm looking at those 2 plays for tonight.
Yeah, I think Ayo will have a big night tonight. I think he'll have a breakthrough tonight. I think especially since like Zach and DeMar will not play, like you said. I could see him, getting some minutes here. I think Caruso, has a big, showing here on the defensive side, especially. So I think Drummond, we know Andre Drummond, he could have a big, night tonight. Dragic might have a big night too. So yeah, this is the time for all the other guys to kind of step up, and I'm sure they've heard all the critiques and all the the criticisms and stuff. So hopefully they'll be able to get back up there, and they should be able to. Because like I said, they got after this game. Well, actually, after Golden State, we'll get to them in a sec after the break. But they have a lot of very winnable games, so they can make a move here. So I just need to be consistent. That's been sort of like the problem with the Bulls, but we'll see. We'll see what happens tonight, and the rest of the weekend.
Yeah, as we said on the last couple of shows, Lakeena, the Bulls just need one good long winning streak, and they're right back in this thing. So there should be no excuses. So we'll see what happens going up the road as we now in the middle of the month of January. Lakeena, we're gonna let you cool off. I cool off too. We got more of the NBA to talk about, including last night's classic double overtime finish between the Dallas Mavericks and the Los Angeles Lakers. We'll talk about the All-Star balloting, which I think one player should be on that ballot, and one player who's actually on the ballot that should not be on the ballot. We'll discuss. We'll get into some college basketball and a whole lot more. As you listen to the hashtag Football Friday edition of Second City Sports, we're live in the living color. I'm Sid. That's Lakeena. You're listening to Sports Zone Chicago.
This year, my mom got me the perfect bag for back to school.
These colorful binders help me stay organized.
These headphones are just what I need for studying.
These new sneakers are just what I need for the new year.
This jacket is a real must-have.
My parents got me the skateboard I wanted. It's pretty cool.
These scissors really come in handy in art class.
These colored pencils, too. These new socks, they can be a real lifesaver.
I finally got my own phone to stay in touch with my mom.
Trisha's having a sleepover tonight. Can I go?
I wonder about Lucy's friends. What should I say? I know you're only 10, but one of these days a friend will offer you a drink. And alcohol at your age can lead to so many things. None of them good.
So can I go to the sleepover?
Lucy, I want you to promise me
I
something.
finished my homework.
Bigger promise. If there's any drinking, I want you to say, "No thanks, not my thing."
Mom.
I promise you. Your real friends won't care. Deal?
Sure.
Really?
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you pack your toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. A public service message from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
Hey, this is Dr. J, and I listen to Sean and Maya in the morning.
Oh, sorry. Welcome back to the hashtag Football Friday edition of Second City Sports. We're live in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. I'm Sid. That's Lakeena. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You can follow me at Keenan McGee on the Twitter and at Keenan McGee on the IG.
We have less than 90 minutes left for this extravaganza we call a Sports Talk Radio Show. If you want to hit us up in the comments section, you can do so at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in your questions and comments in the comments section. Lakeena will get them up on the screen for you. Lakeena, let's review last night's action from the NBA. As we always do, we go backwards to give you the best and worst from the from the association from the past week. Let's go to Thursday night's action, which was last night. The Los Angeles Lakers lose a heartbreaker in double overtime to the Dallas Mavericks, 119-115. Luka Doncic had a triple-double, 35 points, 14 rebounds, and 13 assists. He hit the game-tying three-pointers to send the game into overtime, and he hit the game-tying three-pointers to send the game into double overtime. We're going to break down the box score in just a minute, Lakeena, but I want to jump into the play that I watched in real time and at the end of the regulation. Troy Brown Jr. had a chance to win the game for the Lakers. He was clearly fouled by Tim Hardaway Jr. LeBron James, as usual, complained to the refs that it was a no call. Usually the refs trying to swallow the whistle during the last 2 minutes of a game. Lakeena, do you believe a foul should have been called during the last seconds of regulation last night?
This sort of like the similar thing would happen with the Rose a couple of weeks back. I forgot which team. It was kind of a similar play. They didn't foul. They didn't call for a foul. It'll be interesting to see if they come out and say, "Hey, that should have been a foul called." So, go figure with that one, because that's happened to Bulls about 3 or 4 times already this year. But yeah, I think it should have been a foul call. They were gonna, of course, folks were gonna get upset and have their get their in the skis. But I mean, there was no excuse. I mean, look, Luka did what Luka does. The triple double and such. And look, the Lakers, I think they just ran out of gas. I mean, you had 28 points off the bench for Westbrook, unfortunately. But like I said, I think especially when it got to double overtime, you can tell a lot of those guys were gassed. So a lot of it was fatigue, and Luka and the Mavs were able to take advantage of that.
And Luka finally got some help last night for once. Spencer Dinwiddie, 17 points. Reggie Bullock, 7 points. But Tim Hardaway Jr., as I mentioned, he did foul Troy Brown Jr. He wasn't called, but he ended up with 22 points on the game. But Christian Wood stepped up, in my opinion, had his best game of the year in 47 minutes of action. He had 24 points and grabbed 14 rebounds. Also, dish out 6 assists as well. He was dominating the Lakers inside last night. They're Luka and everybody else was finding him wide open underneath the basket. I don't know if you were paying attention to that, but he got most of his shots from the inside last night.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, he did. And I think they need more of that. I mean, Hardaway Jr. and Wood need to step up more, especially Luka. You don't want Luka to kind of run out of gas by the end of the season. So they're gonna need Hardaway and Wood to do that consistently. So hopefully they'll be able to do just that. But another game that I was keeping my eye on.
Just one more thing, Lakeena, before we move on. I don't know if you saw this stat during the telecast last night from TNT. Since the Lakers won the title in 2020, which is now 3 seasons ago, the Lakers used the most players in their lineup in the NBA over the 3-year span, which was 52. 44 of those players only played 1 season, and their winning percentage before last night's game was at 48%.
Yeah, that's a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
But that's a little. I mean, you had a lot of defections and such, so we'll see. Now going into Cleveland and Portland, Cleveland got a nice win after losing a tough one to Utah, and Donovan Mitchell's first return back to. We'll get to that in a second, but they bounced back, and beat Portland 119-113. Mitchell, speaking of, had 26 points leading the way for them, and then a losing effort, of course. Despite Dame having a season high 50 points. It wasn't enough for the Blazers, as the Cavs were able to bounce back from that loss to Utah, and they were able to get a big win at Portland.
Yeah, the Cleveland Cavaliers are continuing that West Coast road trip, and like you said, they continue to roll. Donovan Mitchell, he's actually starting to get some helpful ones. So, like you talked about with Luka Doncic, you don't want him to run out against. You saw what he did against the Bulls almost now 2 weeks ago, was scoring a career high 71. But Evan Mobley returned to the lineup last night. He gave you 17 points and 8 rebounds, which is great to see. Darius Garland returned to the lineup as well, 20 points and 10 dimes. But congrats to Ricky Rubio. He saw his first action in over a year for tearing his ACL. So congratulations to him making it back, going to the court. I know he's an ageless veteran. He could have hung it up, but he still wants to play, and he got that chance last night.
Hopefully he'll get better as the seasons go on for them. But
yes.
Excuse me, more. Miami got a big win against the Bucks, 108-102 last night. No, they didn't need 40 free throws. We'll get to that in a second. They were actually, they only attempted 16, which is a far cry from what happened a couple of days prior. But
yeah,
we'll get to that in a second. But Bam had 24. Excuse me, and Jimmy only had 17, but he did what he could. Gabe Vincent had 28 points, which is a season high for him. And look, a nice win for the Heat. I mean, they've been coming up and down too. They're kind of right there. They're 23-10 as we're recording this. And I saw a little bit of the highlights of this game. I did get a chance to watch it, in real time. But I saw the highlights. The Miami. I think they're getting better now. I don't think will they get to the Bucks or the Celtics and the Sixers. We'll get to them in a second. But I think they could be like right there in that that top near that second tier.
Yeah, as we talked about before, Lakeena, give head coach Eric Spoelstra credit. That team's mindset is defense. I know they struggled offensively, especially during the early part of the year, but they're starting to come into form right now. And yes, they took advantage of Giannis Antetokounmpo not playing last night. Drew Holiday led the Bucks with 24, but these are the kind of games you have to win if you want to climb back up to be relevant in the Eastern Conference. Hopefully you're listening, Chicago Bulls. But the Miami Heat did their thing last night. It was some well-balanced scoring. Just looking at the box score here. Like I said, Gabe Vincent with 28, Bam Adebayo Mitchell with 24. He's their second go-to scorer behind Jimmy Butler on the team. So well-rounded, balanced attack by the Miami Heat.
So we'll see where they go. Celtics beat in the first game that TNT that will have the Celtics beat the Nets 109-90. Of course, Nets are without KD for about a month. They did. I mean, they did what they could. Kyrie had 24, but Ben Simmons, big goose egg, 0 points. You can't do that, especially with your top guy being out. So he needs to step it up. So if the Nets will kind of want to stay there in that. They've been a big role later, so they got a little bit of a cushion. But even still, they need to get it together since KD is going to be out for about a month. But on the flip side, though, Jason Tatum had 20 points. Not a big showing from Tatum, but and of course Taylor Brown didn't play. But they got nice little spread out scoring, which if you're the Celtics, you're okay with that.
Yeah, Malcolm Brogdon, we didn't talk about this over the summer, Lakeena, but I thought he was a big addition. Of course, he was the former Rookie of the Year with Milwaukee a few years ago. He played with the Pacers last year. Now, Celtics picked him up as a free agent over the summer. He's come in and done a good job, and he helped the Celtics last night with 60 points off the bench.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just crazy, but you feel that if KD, that's probably, I'm sure Nets fans feel that if KD had played, they would have won that game. So they actually were. Yeah. Nets were actually up for a while, and it was back and forth, but Celtics pulled away late in the game. Now going into Wednesday's matchup, I think Denver made sure that they weren't going to be fooled by the Suns this time.
We won't get fooled again.
Yeah, no, you won't. But so the Nuggets actually beat the Suns this time. So I mean, look. Unfortunately for the Suns, they've had a. They're now all the way near there. They were near the top. They were at number 1 at one point. But since Book's injury, they've been kind of falling down a little bit.
I think they're 3-11 or 3-12 without him so far
like
this year, and it's embarrassing. They definitely need him.
Yeah, desperately. So yeah, but the Nuggets get the win. Jokic only had 21 points and 14 boards. 18 rebounds. Just another day at the office.
Yeah, it's just another boring day at the office.
For Mr. Jokic. But all 5 stars were in double figures for them. The score was nice and widespread. Jamal Murray had 18 points. Aaron Gordon had 12. So, a nice, good, solid team win for the Nuggets. And let's make this more about Nuggets and the Suns. We know how the Suns are at this point, but like you said, they're like 3. They haven't won the 3 of their last 15 games. So since Book got hurt, so yeah, it's been brutal. But the Nuggets, nice win for them.
And also, too, going back to the Eastern Conference Zone, this is the action from Wednesday. The New York Knicks held off the Indiana Pacers 119-113. Jalen Brunson had 34 points. The Knicks, unlike on Monday, they blew a big lead at home and lost it to the Milwaukee Bucks. They almost did it again, but held on at the end to beat the Indiana Pacers. Lakeena, even though the Pacers scored 32 points in the fourth quarter, it was too little, too late. Buddy Hield for your Pacers scored 31.
Yeah, nice job for him. But yeah, I mean, I thought they had it too. I thought, especially when they got a little bit of a run, I thought they had it, but Knicks were able to just held them off and to win that game. So the Knicks, they would have lost those type of games, but luckily they won this one. Sacramento beat Houston 135-115, and
don't sleep on the Kings.
Oh no, yeah, they're coming, they're coming. So yeah, I know. I think I thought teams are realizing that maybe this Kings team is for real. Mike Brown, I think he's the leader for in the clubhouse for Coach of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
Now going into Tuesday's matchup, real quick. Now the Clippers, they've been coming up and down too, but they got a big win against the Mavs, 113-111. Luka had 43, but it wasn't enough. And I think it's interesting too. PG didn't play, but Kawhi did. Kawhi had 33 points, leading the way for the Clippers. But a nice balanced attack, and they were able to pull off the not upset per se, but
Yeah, I got a chance to watch some of that game live, mostly the second half on Monday. Yeah, Kawhi, it looks like he's trying to get back into form. They need Paul George, as I paid him to win the MVP. He's not making me look good right now, missing all these games due to injuries. But once we saw what this Clippers team could be early in the year when everybody in their main core is healthy. They could beat anybody in the league, but it's all about the supporting cast with Marcus Morris. You have John Wall there as well. Reggie Jackson, he has to get back into form as well. But the Clippers are a dangerous team when healthy. Hopefully they can get healthy very soon.
yeah, let's hope so. I mean, they're really good when healthy. So let's see the consistency of it. Hopefully they can kind of get it together because Ty Lue, I mean, he's getting a little bit in the hot seat there among some Clippers fans. So we'll see where that lands. Orlando pulled off the upset. They beat Portland 109-106. Franz Wagner had 29 points, leading the way for them. So interesting win for Orlando. Phoenix, look, I know they haven't been playing very well since Book got hurt, but they did get a big win on Tuesday. They beat the Warriors 125-113, and that is Steph's first game back. He had 24 points. You got to think he'll probably only get better too as it goes on. But it was the Suns that had this one, and Damian Lee had 22 points. I know that's a name that a lot of people forgot. Wait, he's still around? Yeah, you're from Louisville, but yeah, he had 22 points, which is a career high for him. And I mean, the Suns, I know they're kind of like I don't want to say they're in a crossroads right now, but this is like their third win since Book got hurt. So I'm hoping he can come back soon. So they need him because they went from being like one of the top teams. Now they're like near the play-in, and that's a big tumble.
Yeah, who would have thought that the Suns and the Lakers would have, I think, 1 or 2 wins separating each other?
The same record.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought that before the season started? But like you said, Lakeena, like Monty Williams, personally, their head coach, but DeAndre Ayton got to get his head out of his what. Yes. Chris Paul got to stay healthy. And like you said, they need Devin Booker back, and they'll be a complete team. But one more game before we move on to this weekend schedule, I want to discuss with you. As we mentioned, the Cleveland Cavaliers are on their current West Coast road trip. They lost to the Utah Jazz on Tuesday, 116-114. And Donovan Mitchell's return to Salt Lake City. Class act by the Utah Jazz fans by giving Donovan really nice. A standing ovation. Donovan Mitchell scored 46 points, but it wasn't enough. Jordan Clarkson made some key buckets down the stretch to preserve the win for Utah, as Utah trying to get back into the play-in contention and get back to 500.
That's the second most someone has scored against their former team. Only John Williamson, who did it to his Pacers squad, had 50 against his Pacers squad back in 1978. So wasn't enough. I mean, I know that he was a little bit frustrated after the game that he couldn't pull off that win. But I'm glad that because the Jazz fans can be a little bit suspect at times. We've heard some of the stories, but they're very classy to him, and I'm glad they were able to. They gave him a nice, standing ovation after what he did for that team and such. It's not his fault that things didn't go the way they had hoped for. Laurie had 25 points, and Jordan.
He's all-star this year.
Yeah, definitely. Also could be most improved. With Zion being out, especially. Of course, Clark's had 32 points and such. So it was a nice, nice win for the Jazz. I think that was more like personal because a lot of those guys, they didn't play, but with Donovan, but a nice win by them. Now I want to get to this real quick. I know you want this last one, but I want to get to this Heat and Thunder game. The Heat set an NBA record with going for 40 free throws, but yet they ended up winning only by 1. Jimmy Butler had 23, those 23 from the strike. That ties Donnie Wilkins for the second most made free throw amount of miss in NBA history. But the fact that they only lost by 1. Despite the 40 free throw attempts, just shows you how crazy it the NBA can be at times.
Yeah, I think Rick Barry would be. Yeah, they beat the Thunder by 1, and you hear people always say, "Well, free throws, missed free throw here or there would make a difference in the game," and some people just shrug it off. But you can't shrug it off. Tell the Miami Heat that they made all 40 of theirs and they won by 1. I think Rick Barry, the Hall of Famer, will be proud because I think he's the leader in career free throws shooting percentages.
Right.
And I remember I saw him in an interview back in the 90s. He said, it's a free throw. And many players, and of course he had that unorthodox underhand style when he went to the free throw line, and he made most of the time. But he talked about how missing free throws can change the perception of you as far as your team season, your career, and it costs teams playoffs and championships. And we can go through a whole lot of examples, which we will not have time for. But I think Rick Barry would be proud of what the Miami Heat did. I just wish that a whole lot more players and teams would take free throws
more seriously.
very seriously, much more seriously than they do.
Yeah, they always say make your free throws, folks. We're actually going to talk about that too. We're actually going to talk about it in a second too when it comes to college because some games came down to free throws and real quick as we go into this weekend's schedule tonight, Friday. You got New Orleans and Detroit at 6. You got Atlanta, Indiana at 6 as well. That should be a fun one. Battle of the Young Stars there. Knicks and Wizards. That should be interesting. The first game of the ESPN doubleheader. I'm surprised this game didn't get flexed, but okay. Golden State and San Antonio. I mean,
yeah, the reason why that game's on ESPN tonight is because the Spurs, for the first time since the 2001-2002 season, will play one game at the Alamo Dome. The game is sold out, and they sold out 63,000 tickets.
That explains it. Okay, so yeah, now it all makes sense. Of course, they're playing Golden State too, so yeah, why not?
And Steph is back, so
yeah, even better. So yeah, maybe there was a reason why ESPN would air this game.
So we're gonna see Big Mama's curtains courtside.
We know how the Alamo Dome is, so it's gonna be like very like they may be like little ants there, the Spurs and the Warriors. No disrespect, but yeah, they're gonna look like that. Of course, OKC and the Bulls tonight as well at 7:00. Phoenix and Minnesota at 7. Orlando, they continue their West Coast trip at Utah. And the second game of that ESPN Friday night doubleheader, you got Denver and the Clippers. That should be a fun one. They have a couple of good battles this year already. And lastly, for tonight, Houston and Sacramento.
And that's not a typo. Those two teams played on Wednesday.
Yeah, they did.
Going to tomorrow night's schedule, Saturday. This is at high noon Chicago time on ABC because of the NFL wildcard weekend games.
Yes.
The Milwaukee Bucks will play the Miami Heat again. So that's not a typo. That's not a typo either.
We gotta talk about this. I mean, it's crazy. But
so that's at high noon tomorrow, Saturday on ABC. That's the ABC Saturday game of the week. At 6:00, we have Boston at Charlotte. Also at 6:00, I get the chance to watch the majority of this game live via this computer screen. Your Indiana Pacers hosting John Morant in the Memphis Grizzlies. John Morant returned to action on Wednesday. He helped beat the San Antonio Spurs. At 6:30 tomorrow night, we have the Atlanta at Toronto, Cleveland at Minnesota at 7:00. We have 76ers at Utah at 8:00. Rounding out the Saturday night schedule, we have Portland hosting Dallas.
Dave versus Luka. That should be a fun one as it usually is between those two. And as Sunday, note the Sunday start times at noon, high noon. We got the Knicks and Detroit. No, I'm not repeating my. I feel like I'm repeating myself. They just played like about a week ago, so like I don't. It's crazy. But Houston and the Clippers at 2:00 because the Lakers are playing later on. I'll tell you that. Of course, Golden State and Chicago. Note the start time, folks, at 2:30 at the UC. So note the start time. And because they got to leave for Europe right after that, and OKC and Brooklyn, no KD, but could be a high scoring affair too at 5:00.
Yep, and also rounding out the Sunday night schedule, we'll have Sacramento and San Antonio. San Antonio will be back at the SBC Center, if that's still called that now, at 6:00. Oh, the Magic at Denver at 7. Orlando or Denver at 7:00. The Mavericks and Trailblazers again at 8:00 on Sunday. So
not a typo. So it's not.
In the NBA TV Sunday night game of the night, we'll have Philadelphia at Los Angeles to take on the Lakers at 8:30. So that's your schedule for this weekend from the world of the National Basketball Association.
Yes. You listen to Second City Sports on Sports on Chicago. Lakeena McGee, Cindy Brown with you. Now, at this time, now the college football season, we'll give Georgia their props in a second when Christine comes on with us later on in the hour, in the second hour. But, college hoops, conference play is in full swing. And Illinois, the good Illinois teams have been showing up lately. They beat Nebraska, right? They beat Nebraska on Wednesday. Look, like I said, they're Jekyll and Hyde. You don't know which Illinois team you're gonna get, and it's a little bit nutty, but it's. But yeah, look, a nice show by Illinois, so hopefully it can keep it up.
Yeah, Illinois is 11-5 right now. They shown me something these last two games. They beat Wisconsin last Saturday afternoon down there in Champaign with hot shooting from Coleman Hawkins. Fred Hoiberg did do something nice for Nebraska on Tuesday. He limited the space that Coleman Hawkins and didn't give Coleman Hawkins any space to shoot his threes. So the Illinois spread the ball around. Terrence Shannon, the senior guard, he showed up big. Also to Danger. Sorry, excuse me for my mystical rapper reference, but Dana Danger had 4 points and 7 rebounds, but he's got to stay out of foul trouble. He was in foul trouble once again on Tuesday.
Big problem,
if he can stay out of foul trouble, I think he'll be a big presence inside for Illinois. Also, too, Matthew Meyer had 10 points, including 2 big 3-pointers in the second half. He's showing up right now. And also, too, coming off the bench, RJ Melendez, watch out. He was on the team last year. He didn't get much playing time, but I think he's going to be a key player coming off the bench for the Illini this year. RJ Melendez scored 10 points against Nebraska. So I think he's going to be key. And also, too, Mr. Epps, no, not the comedian Mike Epps. Mr. Epps had 11 points and 3 assists and 2 rebounds as Illinois cruised to a 16-point win at Nebraska.
Yeah, nice. Like I said, the good Illinois team showed up a few days ago. Now, Northwestern, we've been hearing it all week long. Everybody's saying that all Northwesterners are saying, "Hey, look, we're going to the tournament this year." Well, Rutgers said they're doing the figure way.
Right, give him a tumble.
Cam Spencer had 6 3-points, including the go-ahead 3 that gave Rutgers the win, 65-62 over Northwestern. They lose a tough one. They fall to us. They're 3-2 in Big Ten play and 12-4. So, that might not help their tourney resume, unfortunately. But it is what is there. But Indiana's been kind of on a free fall too. They lose to Penn State, 85-66. And I don't know how our girl Shea Pepper, who just had Jordan Cornette, they just had a new baby daughter.
Yes, congratulations to them, friend of the show. Yes.
We gotta get her back. Try to get both, either one of them back on at some point. But tough show for Indiana there. But Alabama beat Arkansas 84-69. UConn, UConn lost to Marquette 82-76. And Texas, they really needed this win. They edged out TCU 79-75. They've been kind of up and down too. Of course, the Chris Beard stuff, and now that's been now that's kind of over with now since he's gone. Timmy Allen had 17 points, nice widespread scoring, and a nice win for that team. And I think they really needed that boost. So a nice showing by them. Miami beat BC 86-72. Sorry, Mike Berman. Missouri, they lose a tough one at Texas A&M 82-64. They beat them pretty handy. They were hitting their threes. I'm talking about Texas Tech. So, what caught your eye this week outside Illinois? What caught your eye this week in college hoops, Sid?
I think we talked about this on our show on Monday, but Michigan State, they beat Juwan Howard's team, Michigan last Saturday. Michigan, the Wolverines have been on a free fall, losing their last 2 games. I know they lost a tough one the other night in overtime to Iowa, so they're going to have to turn it around quickly. Talking about a team that's on the bubble. 9-7, you're on the bubble right now, and we talked about it with Mike Chen on Monday. That Big Ten conference we thought was tough last year. It's going to be even tougher this year. So Michigan is going to have to turn around. They have an important game coming up this weekend. We'll get to it in just a second. But Michigan State, they beat Wisconsin in Madison the other night on Tuesday, 69-65. And did you catch this game, Lakeena? I only caught the highlights. Didn't get a chance to watch the whole thing. But number 13, Virginia, they beat North Carolina 65-59.
Yeah, I saw
65-58, I should say.
Yeah, I saw a couple of minutes of that game. You thought that maybe North Carolina, you thought they were going to have a little bit of a run. You thought maybe they were going to pull it out, but Virginia said, no, no, no. And yeah, I mean, they hit some big shots late. And I think, look, Virginia, they're showing that they can score more than 50 points. So they've actually been averaging about 65. So yeah, a nice showing by them. But yeah, I mean, it's been, really, interesting, with Virginia. Virginia could probably be, I think they were picked to win the ACC. So that'll be interesting there. Kentucky, our buddy Gerald Willis is a big Kentucky fan from CHGO, friend of the show, of course. Yeah, Kentucky loses another tough one to South Carolina. Michi Johnson had 26 points, 6 boards, and 6 assists. He's the first South Carolina player with that many since Sadarius Thornwell did in 2017. And it's, I guess, Ole Miss. They actually ended up going to the Final Four that year, too, with Frank Martin. So I don't know if that'll be the case this year, but Kentucky falls to 1-3. That's their worst SEC play. That's their worst start since 86-87. That was back when the late great Eddie Sutton was leading that team. That was actually during the as things were starting to go haywire there. But yeah, Kentucky.
Yeah, 2 bad losses by Calipari. Me personally, I love it, but I won't get into that now. But they lost at Alabama last Saturday afternoon. And of course,
yes, they did.
Losing the other night. We'll see what happens. And I know our buddy Lamont Scott, I just posted up the comment that Alabama, I get a chance to watch them tomorrow.
Yes,
they're
nice
for real. And it's not just a football school anymore, folks. I'll tell you that. And a couple of the finals from last night. Hopefully I'm not repeating myself, but number 9 Arizona gets by Oregon State 86-74. And of course UCLA dominates Utah by 21. And real quickly, Lakeena, going into the college basketball schedule for tonight, I'm just reading out the top 25. I know Illinois and Michigan State will play again. Yep. Well, in Michigan State will play tonight down in Champaign. That's at 8 o'clock Chicago time on FS1. And on Big Ten Network tonight at 6, we'll have number 3 Purdue hosting Nebraska. Purdue's slipping a little bit, but they're still one of the top teams in the country.
Yeah, and I think that should be a good one out there. I'm sure the Post is going to be rocking over there in Lincoln. Going into tomorrow, Saturday, you got Kentucky and Tennessee. Kentucky's been struggling, because Tennessee has had a couple of big wins this week. So we'll see what happens there. Miami against NC State. Remember, NC State beat Duke, so we'll see how they do against Miami. DePaul and Seton Hall. They host Seton Hall on FS1. The first game, I believe, is the first game of a triple header on CBS. You got Wisconsin, Indiana. Indiana's kind of been on a free fall lately, so we'll see how they do against Wisconsin. They've been up and down. Georgia, they've been playing pretty well too. We'll get to their football team after this break. They play Ole Miss at noon. That's going to be on SEC Network. K-State. Now, if you haven't heard too much about, if you don't know too much about Kansas State, well, Jerome Tang has done a great job with that squad. They're actually probably one of the highest teams in the country right now. Marquise Knoll, he's been on a tear. He actually had 24 points. He hits the 3 very well. He hits 50% from 3-pointer. He's been leading the way. They've got a lot of other top guys. So he's been playing. He's got that team on his back, and they've been playing very well. They've had a couple of big wins. So they play TCU at 1 o'clock on ESPN2. That should be a fun one. Providence and Creighton on FS1. Let's see.
Yeah, LSU and Alabama at 3 o'clock tomorrow on ESPN. I'll definitely watching that one. I'm sure our buddy Lamaska will be watching that game as well. Number 14, Iowa State will travel to Lawrence, Kansas to take on the number 2 ranked Kansas Jayhawks, the defending national champs. That's on the Big 12/ESPN Plus network. And in prime time, we'll have number 24 Duke traveling to Clemson to take on the Tigers at 4 o'clock. On Fox, following Seattle and San Francisco, the football game, we'll have Colorado traveling to Los Angeles to take on number 7 UCLA.
Yeah, that should be a fun one. Texas and Texas Tech at 7 o'clock on ESPN. That should be a fun matchup there. New Mexico and San Diego State. You got 2 top teams from the Mountain West. That should be a good one. That's at 8 o'clock on CBS Sports Network. It's great to see that the Mountain West Conference, it got about 4 or 5 teams that can go to the tournament this year. So I'm looking forward to that one. Boise State and Wyoming are one other team, 2 other teams, I should say. That's going to be on FS1. That's a nightcap there at 10. And Mizzou will try to bounce back against Florida, too. That should be a good one down in Gainesville. And
just a couple of games of note for Sunday. Marquette at Xavier. That's at 11 o'clock a.m. on
should be a
Fox
good
just
one.
before the football game. Northwestern at Michigan on the Big Ten Network at 11 o'clock Chicago time. Big game for both teams, but a bigger game for Michigan since they lost their last two games. And at 2 o'clock on ESPN2 on Sunday, Penny Hardaway's Memphis Tigers at 12-5. They'll take on the Temple Owls. They're 10-8.
Yeah, I believe they're since UConn's back in the Big East, I believe they're the favorites in the American, so they've been playing pretty well so far. So, hopefully, they can keep it going. So, yeah, a lot of great games coming up. So, you guys have no excuses now. I know the NFL is going to be on, this weekend, but you can see a couple of college hoops games, folks. Come on now.
DVR them.
Yeah, at the very least.
Yes. All right, hour number 1 in the books, hour number 2 straight ahead as you listen to the hashtag Football Friday edition of Second City Sports. We'll preview Wildcard Weekend. We'll get Christine the Queen's Manika's picks at the bottom of next hour. And I have an interesting article that we'll have to get some context to from The Athletic regarding the NFL, who should be the NFL head coach of the year. We'll give our quick 2 cents on the college football national championship game from the other night, and we'll have a whole lot more fun. I'm Sid. That's Lakeena. You're listening to Sports Zone Chicago.
No, I don't know, though. I'm scared. I mean,
Do you know that you're in my lane? No, not at all. Are you not paying attention? Are you texting? I was just checking in with my mom. I was telling her that I thought we'd be home by 6. It's okay. There's enough time. Just pay attention. I'm not even halfway through my text. There's no way. I'm not even going to look up. My babies are in the car. You have to pay attention. It's just supposed to be a quick text. I'm so sorry.
Hi, I'm Tom Brady, the director of DODEA. September is National Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month. The simple act of reaching out and caring for those in our communities is something we all can do. Just being there for someone you care about can be a tremendous first step in getting them access to confidential resources and support that they need. It only takes one person and one small act and 1 minute to make a difference. Let's make a difference.
Move it!
Many will hear the calling. Few will earn the title. United States Marine. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of Second City Sports hashtag Football Friday edition. We're live and in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. I'm Sid. That's Lakeena. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter and the IG at CK80. Once again, it's CK80. That's SIDKID80. SIDKID80.
You can follow me at Keita McGee on the Twitter and Keita McGee on the IG.
We have less than an hour left of this extravaganza we call it Sports Talk Radio Show. If you want to get at us in the comments section, you can do so by going to Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Typing in questions or comments in the comments section. Lakeena will get them up on the screen for you. And just for a daily reminder, you can also catch Sports Zone Chicago now available on Roku TV. Lakeena, before we break down the NFL, I want to get your quick 2 cents on the college football playoff, the lowest rated game in history since they started this a few years ago. The Georgia Bulldogs are your back-to-back national champions, beating the TCU Horned Frogs 65-7. Yes, TCU was in it for a minute, trailing 14-7. It was 38-7 at halftime. Lakeena, I saw the highlights. That's all I need to see. We had our guy Mike Chin on from USA Today on Monday. He said that Georgia should be able to win this game. They did. You kind of knew what was coming, but I ain't see a beatdown like this coming, though.
Yeah, I don't think. Well, no, I was telling some folks that I wouldn't be surprised if this was going to happen. I mean, it was the lowest rated, I guess, since they started all this, and I mean, what you could go through like all the records that Georgia broke. I mean, there's they're back to back, they're the fourth team to do that. Stetson Bennett, who was the offensive MVP, he's the fourth guy. And, he now joins a pretty good list of guys like Matt Leinart, who won back to back championships. It's just crazy. He rushed for multiple touchdowns at the PCS last college football playoff game since Vince Young did it at Texas and Craig Krenzel did it at Ohio State. Scored. I mean, 58 points is the most. I was waiting for them to go to 70. I actually really was going to cheer for them to go to 70. Because
did you place any money on that game? Any coins?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I wish I would have, but. It's just like, look, no disrespect to TCU and such, but they had no business being. No disrespect to them, but they had no business being in that game. I'm sorry that they didn't. And look, I know people want to say that. Well, how the hell did they beat Michigan? Well, look, Michigan in some ways beat themselves.
Yeah.
And look, Georgia isn't Michigan, so Michigan. I mean. 65 points, 65-7. That's the most points scored ever in a national championship game or any bowl game, really, for that matter. Of course, the rush, they did the rushing, they did the throwing. Their defense was really solid. So, Jalen Carter, of course, people think that the Bears should take him with the first pick or what have you, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of those games where do you think that Georgia is, heading into a dynasty? I know I heard David Pollock say on the ESPN telecast that he thinks Georgia is kind of like in the middle of a dynasty. And, Nick Saban was right there. I don't think he looked very happy when he said that he was pitched all over. But what do you think? Do you think Georgia is kind of at that cusp of being Alabama?
I don't know. I know they had the talent. I know they're going to lose a couple, especially a couple to the NFL draft, including Mr. Carter. But it's real tough, especially with the expansion of the college football playoff coming after next season. They do have a chance, but with these conferences being super conferences like the Big Ten and the SEC, it's going to be tough. Nick Saban, Alabama is going to have something to say. And do you know that Oklahoma and Texas coming to the SEC after next year, they're going to have something to say as well. The Big Ten always going to be tough as well. So do Georgia have a chance? They do, but it's going to be awfully tough.
It's going to be very tough. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see, how I know last season, they lost a couple of guys, to the NFL, but look what they were able to do. So it'll be interesting to see if, Kirby Smart, we know Kirby Smart can, recruit, up there with Nick Saban. So I'm wondering that it'll be interesting to see what he does in the big, in the SEC. But you got to think there are going to be some other teams that are going to be, wanting the same thing. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see. You're listening. Oh, any other last thoughts about Monday night's game before we go to the NFL? Did you catch any of the Pat McAfee telecast?
I did not.
Okay.
I did not. I stayed with the traditional telecast.
Okay. All right, so that closes the book on college football.
No, yeah,
this year.
yeah. I mean, look, when they say mega cast and such like that, I usually check it out a little bit. The home calls and I know McAfee hosted. I mean, he's not really my cup of tea, for that. So I'm like, okay, but
Yeah.
I just stuck with the traditional broadcast and such, and
Okay.
it'll be like I said, it'll be interesting to see, especially and look, our buddy Lamont. Let me see if I can get that comment. Yeah, he said he thought he would beat that.
Yeah.
He was loving he was loving Nick Saban on the commentary. So that'll be interesting there. But
Okay.
yeah, I mean, look, I feel like I said, I think Georgia, especially. So would you agree that some people thought that after the semifinal, the great semifinal games that we had, was Georgia Ohio State the national championship game?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I said, it came down to a missed field goal from Ohio State side, and it came down to a made field goal on Georgia side. Yeah, that was the national championship, especially given what we saw on Monday. Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
It was
absolutely.
so.
Yeah, like Michigan, I don't know if Michigan would have would have done any better, but at the same time, though, you wonder like at least it would have kept it close. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but yeah.
All right. You're listening to Second City Sports Zone Chicago, the hashtag Football Friday edition. I'm Sid. That's Lakeena. Before we preview this weekend's wild card games and get our picks from our homegirl Christine, the Queen Manika, I ran up across this article in the Athletic. Subscribe to the Athletic. They have in-depth, deeper articles from all from the pros and the colleges as well. And Mike Jones, no, not the rapper, he had an interesting article about his top 6 candidates for NFL head coach of the year. I want to see if our viewers and listeners agree. Go to Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in your comments in the comments section. His first, without going not in any particular order, he mentioned Kyle Shanahan of the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers finished the number 2 seed in the NFC with a 13-4 record.
Yeah, I could kind of see that because a lot of people thought that this was going to be a rebuild year for the 49ers, especially with Trey Lance, being the starter. Then Lance gets hurt. Jimmy G
And then
comes
Jimmy G
in.
gets hurt too.
And then Jimmy G gets hurt too. And Brock Purdy has shown, at least right now, that he's been, he's pretty good. So we'll see if he can keep it up. I haven't heard nothing about Jimmy G, so it will be Brock Purdy starting. So I mean, I could kind of see him being up there, but I think he's kind of in that top 5-ish sort of thing.
Mike Tomlin of the Pittsburgh Steelers, they barely missed the playoffs. He finishes the year 9-8.
Yeah, still has not in the 16 years that he just finished with the Steelers. He has not had a losing season. Now that thanks to that being 9-8. So I think he's definitely, again, people thought this was supposed to be the rebuilding year for the Steelers. That turned out not to be a case. They were kind of
Kenny
right
Pickett has picked it up in
Yeah.
the last second half of the season.
Yeah, you can tell you can only get better. So I'm hoping that they can keep it up. They can make some moves and such. So they could be right there for the taking. Yeah, I can kind of feel Tomlin being up there.
Next up, Brian Daboll, the first-year head coach of the New York Giants. Of course, he was a former OC, offensive coordinator from Buffalo from a year ago. The Giants get back to the playoffs with a 9-7-1 record.
Yeah, he's definitely that top 2 or 3. He's definitely that top tier for coach of the year because, again, no one was expecting anything from the Giants this year. No one thought that they were gonna be right there. They were like 8-3 at one point. They kind of fell back to earth a little bit, and they were able to hang on and get that playoff spot. So yeah, I think he's definitely up there in that top 3.
Yeah, Nick Sirianni next up from the Philadelphia Eagles, 14-3. I think with Jalen Hurts being hurt and then they had to take care of business on the last day of the season, I think that's going to hurt him. But he was in the driver's seat for the majority of the season.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see if they do hold that against him. That that maybe like you said, maybe that those 2 games that Hurts didn't play, unfortunately, kind of showed you that he is pretty valuable to that team. So yeah, I could kind of see that being the case. That might be Sirianni calling me right now, apparently making his case.
Next up, Doug Peterson of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Of course, they win the AFC South with a 9-8 record that beat the Tennessee Titans last Saturday night to claim that spot in the playoffs. As I said before the season started, I picked the Jaguars to make the playoffs as a wild card. You have of course, Doug Peterson as your new head coach. You get rid of that stank mess from Urban Meyer from a year ago. Trevor Lawrence improved, especially during the second half of the season. You have second-year running back Travis Etienne, who also has improved. And you have 3 wide receivers of over 80 catches or more to finish out the regular season. So Doug Peterson, I think he's going to steal a couple of votes. I think if it wasn't for Sirianni, as we talked about a minute ago, I'm not going to say that Doug Peterson would be a hands-down winner, but he'll be a co-leader right now.
Yeah, I think, look, and I said before, once the Giants got into the playoffs, I think what a difference a coach makes. I mean, this is when you bring on an experienced guy who has a Super Bowl ring, and look, someone who has been through tough situations like this. So I could definitely see him getting some votes, especially so.
Now, this next coach, if his team would have made the playoffs, he definitely would definitely get some votes. So that's Dan Campbell of the Detroit Lions. They finished the year 9-8, barely missing the playoffs. They beat Green Bay to keep them out at the end of the regular season.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's definitely kind of like going to be right there. I think even though, he probably would have gotten. I don't know if he would have won, but I think he definitely would have been in the top 2 or 3 had they made the playoffs. But like a solid showing by them, and it's going to be interesting, for it. But it's going to be.
And the last name that Mike Jones, the athletic writer who covers the NFL, he has on the list, Kevin O'Connell, the Minnesota Vikings. They finished the year 13-4. They only have 2 wins by winning by 10 points or more, and they won the NFC North going away.
Right. Yeah. And I think he'll definitely get some votes to Coach O'Connell. I think. Because people were picking him to win the division, so I could definitely see him getting some votes. Now, if it were me, I think it'll probably be, again, this will be in no order: Dable, Sirianni, and O'Connor. I think those are like your top, your kind of like your top 3 or your 3 names to look out for. Maybe Mike Tomlin and Kyle Shanahan. You probably sneak them in there as well. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else that you could probably make a case for. I would say not really. I mean, Mike McCarthy, no. I mean, Zach Taylor, I know he was up there last year, but I mean, if you want to do the whole Super Bowl, hangover thing, but that's proven not to be the case. No, I don't think. Yeah, I really can't think of anyone else that would be worthy other than those 5. So yeah.
Yeah, so for you viewers and listeners out there, you have any of those candidates you like to choose from, it's your NFL head coach of the year. You can hit us up at Facebook or Sports Zone Chicago on Facebook or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in your answers in the comment section. Lakeena will get the bumper on the screen for you. Lamont Scott says, I think Steve Wilson for Carolina. Carolina, they did play hard in the second half of the year after getting rid of Baker Mayfield, after getting rid of Christian McCaffrey, but unfortunately, Tampa Bay decided to wake up during the last couple of weeks of the season because they played so terribly during the regular season and won that garbage NFC South, I should say. Of course, Atlanta, they're young, they're going through it, and the Saints had a bunch of injuries again. So will Steve Wilson get that job in Carolina? I don't know. I doubt it, but they did play hard for him. But the Panthers were in an annoying situation.
Yeah, they really were. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure he'll get some votes, but I don't think he'll finish in the top 5. For what they did. So it'll be interesting though. If they would have made the playoffs, I think they definitely would have gotten some consideration. Absolutely, but they were in a tough spot to begin with, so I don't think he would have been able to do anything there. I know maybe Mike McDaniel. You think he could probably from the Dolphins? You think he might be in consideration for Coach of the Year?
I think even though they made the playoffs, they had a horrible stretch to end the year, and of course, the injury to Tua Tagovailoa definitely doesn't help Mike McDaniel's case. So I think that's going to be held against them. They were 8-3. They finished the year 9-8. They do get in, but the injury to Tua that's going to hurt them. That's why you probably won't get the award.
Yeah, so definitely, the Tua situation. I think some people might hold that against him. So, it's going to be interesting. But yeah. I mean, like I said, I like the 5 that we mentioned, and the top 3. Well, the 3 names, not the top 3 necessarily, but the 3 names I had especially. I think those are probably going to be your 3 guys. Still, probably one of those 3 will end up being Coach of the Year. I think, but it'll be interesting though. We'll see.
Hey, you're listening to Second City Sports of the Hashtag Football Friday edition right here on Sports Zone Chicago. Sid, Lakeena hanging out here with you. Our girl Christine, the Queen Manika, will be coming up here shortly to give her. She's going to give us her playoff picks for this Super Wild Card Weekend set. Lakeena, looking at this schedule, we'll give you the schedule right now for tomorrow, Saturday at 3:30 p.m. on Fox. Is Seattle at San Francisco to take on the 49ers. The nightcap will feature the San Diego Chargers and the Jacksonville Jaguars on the AFC side. Sundays actually looks like this for a triple header. At noon on CBS is Miami at Buffalo, followed by the Giants and the Vikings on the NFC side at 3:30 on Fox. And at 7:15 on Sunday, we have Baltimore without Lamar Jackson. They'll travel to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals, who won the NFC North. And then, of course, on Monday, on Martin Luther King Day, we'll have the Dallas Cowboys at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Looking at that schedule, which game or games as you do you see as a potential or realistically a potential upset?
I mean, if Chargers beat the Jags, would that really be an upset? I mean, I know they're the
No, the
sixth
Chargers
seed.
are favored right now by 1.5, so basically that pick.
Despite Mike Williams having a fractured back. Yeah, thanks a lot, Coach Staley, for playing the Chargers. When they had nothing to play for. Nicely done, bravo, good for you. Let's see. The Giants beat Minnesota. No, I don't think it's
That's my number one right now. That could be a potential upset.
I mean, look, do you trust the Giants? I mean, they've given you reasons to trust them, but yet they also give you reasons not to trust them. So I don't know. Plus, I'm sure that place is gonna be rocking in Minneapolis, so they're gonna have that thing going. I mean, Baltimore and Cincy. Any division games, like I won't say it's an upset. I mean, Seattle and San Francisco. I mean, they're in the same division, so like okay. Baltimore and Cincinnati. I mean, again, same division, so. Okay, that would really if Baltimore beats Cincy and if Seattle beats San Fran, I mean, would that be considered upset? Not really, because they're in the same division, so it's not like a crazy thing. Now, if if Skylar Thompson, I'm assuming if he gets the start, beats Buffalo, don't think that's going to happen. But in case that would be considered upset,
yeah. Obviously, given the point spread, Buffalo's 13.5 point favorite, and like you said, given the injury situation for the Dolphins at QB, yeah, obviously that would be the biggest upset of them all if that were to happen. But if that doesn't happen, I think Baltimore upsetting Cincinnati will be a big upset, assuming that Buffalo hangs on to win on Sunday. I think Baltimore being Cincinnati on Sunday would be the biggest upset because you were without Lamar Jackson. Talking about Baltimore, you struggle to score points, especially on the road. And Cincinnati, even though they did get it together in the second half of the season to return to the playoffs, just like Buffalo, they played one less game than everybody else due to the DeMar Hamlin situation. Cincinnati has a tougher road this year than unlike a year ago. In Baltimore, I'm sure John Harbaugh has a couple of tricks up his sleeve, so. We'll see what happens. These two teams did play a week ago. I know Baltimore didn't show too much, but I'm sure it's going to be a different. I'm not going to say a different outcome, but it's going to be a different atmosphere this going around.
Well, yeah, I think, like I said, I think you play you're on Super Wild Card where you play teams in your division. If you beat the other one, it's even if one team beats the other one twice. I mean, it's not really an upset. They know how you are. I don't think Baltimore was going to show too much because they figured that they were going to play them again, this Sunday. So I would be, it's not going to be a big thing. I see our buddy Lamont had Tampa Bay and Dallas. I mean, only reason is because Dallas has a better record. I mean, Tampa isn't. Well, they're not great. So yeah, that could probably be an upset too. There's a reason why they put them on Monday night. Go figure with that one.
Well, because of Tom Brady, that's why.
Yeah. well, in Dallas, they haven't really been playing like a 12-4 or 12 and 5 squad. I mean, the last couple of games, have not been very good. Texas, they almost lost to the Texans. They probably should have lost to the Texans. So, I mean, they were really close with Seattle. I don't know. I mean, look, not Seattle, but they lost to the Commanders. I don't know. Maybe some guys just decided, not to, to rest and such, not show too much. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's sort of, they lost to the Jaguars. I mean, and plus, Dak's been, been kind of up and down as well. So yeah, it's I don't know. Well, let's ask our girl about that. She's on with us right now.
Yes, let's bring in our girl from KXRB in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. She's our NFL Pick'ems guru. Here comes our girl, Miss Christine, the Queen Manika. What's up, Christine?
Hi.
Oh,
How are
my
you?
gosh. How are
I'm
you?
good. I'm great. I think I won, didn't I? Didn't I have the most picks this season, Sid?
Well, let me see. Look, yeah, well, no, 'cause I think he beat you by like one game. One of those
Stop
games,
it.
though. Yeah, one of those late games. Yeah, one of those late games. it was.
Thank you, Denver Broncos. I love you.
That Denver game killed just Christine.
Well, no, because I had Detroit, so I had 12.
Yeah, you had 12. Yes. And you added up, yeah. That if you had won that game against the Chargers, you would have tied him. If that Chargers the game would have, if they would have, that was.
The champ is here. Boom, 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 boom. The champ is here.
Is that for the whole year?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's for like the whole season. Yeah. Because I counted it. I got back and counted it. Yeah, so yeah.
Dang it.
Yeah, I know you missed it by that much, but look, you know what though? Look, let's play for money next season. Let's see.
Oh, we definitely will. We definitely will.
You should,
I can't. I got a wedding to pay for.
Well, yeah, that might. Yeah, I'll say. Yeah, I thought about that too. Like, oh crap, yeah, because she got a wedding she has to pay for. So yeah, that might be. We'll do something. We'll do like maybe like a bet. So like
Chris,
like
on
maybe.
the other hand, wants to play for money. He just like waved his hand over.
He wants to
Okay.
Hey, look.
That's why you have a husband for, Christine.
Yeah. Look. Okay. Well, look, you know what? We'll figure that out in due time. So, what are you looking forward to in these super wild card games? Are there any upsets you're looking out for? Or are there like games that are like maybe this could be an upset? What say you?
It's going to be interesting for the Giants in Minnesota, I think, just because that game can literally go either way. And some people are saying, the Giants are going to win by 3 or the Vikings are going to win by 3. I kind of want to see the Vikings win this one and make that be the upset.
I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that.
Of course, I want the 49ers to win just because what a season it's been, Jimmy G getting in there and then, him going down and Brock Purdy. That's an exciting story to watch unfold.
Yeah, we'll have more with Christine, the Queen Manika, following this timeout. We'll get her picks. We'll get her thoughts about the White Sox and Liam Hendricks with news bringing with him from earlier this week. Yes, that other team on the other side of town has a convention going on this weekend. We'll get into that and a whole lot more. You're listening to the hashtag Football Friday edition of Second City Sports. I'm Sid. It's Lakeena. That's Christine. You're listening to Sports Zone Chicago.
This year, my mom got me the perfect bag for back to school.
These colorful binders help me stay organized.
These headphones are just what I need for studying.
These new sneakers are just what I need for the new year.
This jacket is a real must-have.
My parents got me the skateboard I wanted. It's pretty cool.
These scissors really come in handy in art class.
These colored pencils, too. These new socks, they can be a real lifesaver.
I finally got my own phone to stay in touch with my mom.
Trisha's having a sleepover tonight. Can I go?
I wonder about Lucy's friends. What should I say? I know you're only 10, but one of these days a friend will offer you a drink. And alcohol at your age can lead to so many things. None of them good.
So can I go to the sleepover?
Lucy, I want you to promise me
I
something.
finished my homework.
Bigger promise. If there's any drinking, I want you to say, "No thanks, not my thing."
Mom.
I promise you. Your real friends won't care. Deal?
Sure.
Really?
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you pack your toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. A public service message from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
Hey, this is Dr. J, and I listen to Sean and Maya in the morning.
Oh, sorry. Welcome back to Second City Sports, a hashtag Football Friday edition, real live and live in color, right here on Sports Zone Chicago. I'm Sid. That's Lakeena. It's Christine, and we're into our last segment of the show for the week and for the day. And Lakeena has given yours truly the greatest news that he could hear today. Yours truly beat the Queen, Christine Manika, in one game. There's always next year. There's always next year. So you have some time to gear up. Yeah.
All right. Well, Lamont, our buddy Lamont wants in on it too, because I know he's been trying to beat you for years, Sid. So
yeah, bring it on. The more, the better. Bring it on. Y'all do the Johnny Manziel money sign. If you want to get at us via the comment section during our less than half hour of the show, you can go to Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in your questions or comments in the comment section. Lakeena will get them up on the screen for you. Now it's time for our Super Wildcard Weekend NFL picks.
Super wild card weekend. I guess I gotta make it is super. We got 6 games here. So I know, right? That's why that's why they call it a super wild card. But of course, your first game up, this will be tomorrow at 3:30 our time on Fox. You got Seattle and San Francisco. San Fran won, I believe they won. Yeah, they won both meetings. These are 2 NFC West rivals. Now, it'll be interesting. You got Brock Purdy in his first playoff experience. We see how he's done in the regular season, but let's see if he can do it in the playoffs. Geno Smith got a nice little bonus. He got about $1.5 million for making the playoffs. So I know he's sitting pretty. I know he wants to kind of back that up with a win here. Do you think that's going to be the case? Sid, I'll start with you.
I think this is going to be a closer game than what people expect. The 49ers are currently a 9-point favorite. If Seattle wants to pull off an upset, they're going to have to run the ball consistently with Kenneth Walker III. I think he's your offensive rookie of the year. And Seattle's defense is going to have to come up with a couple of turnovers. You mentioned, Lakeena, this is Brock Purdy's playoff debut, so we don't know how it's going to go. But for the 49ers, defense must improve, and Christian McCaffrey is going to have to get involved just a little bit more. It'll set up the play-action pass from Purdy to George Kittle, their tight end. Perhaps Deebo Samuel will be involved as well since he's now back and healthy. I think Seattle will cover, but we pick winners on this show. I'll go with the 49ers in a close one, about 5 points.
Christine?
I'm going to go with the 49ers too. You can't discredit what Geno Smith did this year, though, for Seattle, just because nobody expected them to do as well as they did. I don't think anybody even expected them to even be in the postseason. So with that being said, hats off to Seattle for exceeding those expectations. But the 49ers, again, what I said before, they're the storyline here, I think, and I'm going with the 49ers.
Yeah, same here. I think Seattle also keep it close. I mean, these are 2 division rivals, of course. They know each other well. But I think San Fran, I think they're getting hot at the right time. Deebo's going to be back. they got a lot of other guys that are going to be back and healthy. So I'm picking the 49ers, but in the close one. Now the nightcap tomorrow night, you got the Chargers and the Jags. Unfortunately, Mike Williams got a fractured back. He's not going to be able to play. Yeah, way to go, Brandon Staley. Yeah, way to go. Have the Chargers play a game, and they end up losing that game. So when they had nothing, really to play for, but I guess the Broncos. But I digress. But so Christine, you start this one. But the Chargers are still favored, though, oddly enough. But yeah,
what's the over and under, Sid?
The over under total is 47.5.
Okay, what are they favored by? Who's favored by what?
The Chargers are favored by the 1.5, so it's basically at a pick 'em.
Oh boy. Well, Jacksonville has surprised me before. I'm making notes here as I go. I originally have down the Chargers, but I think I'm going to change it to the Jags. I don't know why, but I think I'm going to risk it there and say the Jags because they've surprised me this season. I think maybe Trevor Lawrence has a handle on it, and we've all seen what he did when he was at Clemson during postseason play and championships, this type of situation. Right. So I think he's going to feel like he's in his element after a year of waiting to be in this element. So I'm going to pick the Jags.
I think it's going to come down to the defenses for both of these teams. You mentioned Trevor Lawrence, Christine. Mm-hmm. Trevor Lawrence has had a great second half to the year. I like Justin Herbert, the quarterback on the Chargers, but I think he's going to face a fierce, competitive Jacksonville defensive front. I think he's going to cause some problems, and it's also going to come down to the running games for both of these teams. Austin Eckler for the Chargers and Travis Etienne for Jacksonville. I think in a close one, I'm going with Jacksonville by 3.
Yep.
Yeah, I've been back and forth on this one, and like you guys said, I mean, it's definitely a pick 'em at this point. We know, of course, Roy Robinson Harris, of course, a former Bear, and we've seen what they can do. Rayshon Jenkins, he picked Dak off like twice a few weeks ago when in their upset win against Dallas. So, because they're at home, I'll pick the Jaguars, but again, watch Herbert have like 3 or 4 touchdowns, and Eckler they rush for like 2 or 3. They end up, and of course, someone from that defense is a pick 6. So Derwin James get a pick 6 or something. So, but it'll be just see what happens with that one. But yeah, that should be a fun one. Now, Miami and Buffalo, of course, it looks like Skylar Thompson's gonna get the start, and you gotta think that Buffalo has this new sense of energy now. That of course, DeMar Hamlin now he's back home. He's he's recovering still, but yeah, he's out of the hospital. I know that it's 13.5. I think the Bills are favored by. I think the Dolphins will. Yeah, I think the Dolphins will push, but I think the Bills will win this game.
I think it's going to be a blowout. It's all about the Bills' defense, and it's all about the running game as well. The Dolphins, they're going to have to be aggressive, especially defensively, see if you can force a couple of turnovers early on Josh Allen. If they can, they have more than a puncher's chance, but I don't see that happening. I'm going with the Bills in a rout.
I'm going with the Bills too. I think Miami is just on their last leg, so to speak, and with Tua not being able to play, I don't think it's gonna go well for the Dolphins, even with Tyreek Hill. So I'm gonna stick with the Bills.
Now, okay, second game from this in the Sunday slate, you got the Giants and Minnesota. Now, some people are saying this could be the upset, if there are going to be the upsets. I mean, so you start this one for us. I know you said this could be probably one of the upsets.
Of course, these two teams played a couple of weeks ago, and the Vikings had to have Mr. Joseph kick a 61-yarder inside to beat the Giants to win that game. The Giants actually played well in that game. Saquon Barkley had a great game. The Giants running back, especially in that fourth quarter. But Kirk Cousins, even though he's back in the playoffs again, he's prone to make that crucial mistake in clutch situations. He's gotten away with it so far this year. He's having a good year, but it's all about Daniel Jones on the other side for the Giants, guys. And this is his playoff debut. Don't pay attention to his passing yards. Pay attention to his to his ability to escape the pocket. And I think it's going to be key for that struggling Minnesota Vikings defense to limit the running lanes of Mr. Daniel Jones. I think Minnesota will do that. It's going to be closer than what people think, but I'm picking the Vikings in a close one. I don't know if we're going to have another classic finish, but this will get interesting and get physical. So I'm going with the Vikings.
I'm going with the Vikings too, and you got to keep in mind they are truly a fourth quarter team. The Vikings, you know, they won't do anything big or significant till probably the second half of the game, and they have all the elements. I've been saying that all season. They have running backs, they have great wide receivers, they have great tight ends. They have it all there. Kirk Cousins is the one that you got to worry about, unfortunately. Yep. So let's see if they can put the chains on him this week. I'm picking the Vikings in a close one.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I think the Vikings will win it somehow. I don't trust the Giants. I think we know that both defenses can be very opportunistic. I think the Vikings would probably, make some big defensive plays. If this was in New Jersey, then I'd probably say the Giants. But since it's going to be indoors, like I said, the place is going to be rocking. I'm picking the Vikings. Now, two teams that literally just played last Sunday, they're going to be playing on Sunday. That's going to be the night game on NBC. You got Baltimore and Cincinnati. No Lamar Jackson. We'll get to him in a second. We were told this is going to be a 1 to 3 week injury. Now it turns out that a PCL injury, it turned out it was a lot more serious than we realized. So I think they'll go Wildcats. The Ravens will go Wildcat probably the whole 4 quarters. But yeah, I like I said, I don't know what the spread is. I know Cincy's favored.
Yeah, Cincinnati's favored by 9.
That's kind of high. So yeah, the Bengals I think will win, but I think the Ravens will. I take the Ravens in the under. I'll say that.
I'm going to go with the same pick as I did last week, and that's the Bengals. I think when it comes to Lamar Jackson's injury, to be honest, I don't think Baltimore thought that they were going to make it this far. That's why they probably made his injury seem less serious than what it was. But now that they're in the playoffs, they're like, oh, well, we need some explaining to do. So this is his real injury, and he's not playing. And this is what's going to happen. Cincinnati's going to win because of it.
I'm going with Cincinnati as well. It's all about Joe Mixon running the football for the Bengals, and their defense is starting to get it together like this time last year when they turned it up on their way to the Super Bowl. And Joe Burrow, he doesn't have to do too much. I think he'll do just enough. I think it's going to be a tougher game than what people expect, but I'm expecting Cincinnati to win.
Yeah, Taylor Huntley, after being limited, was upgraded to full practice today. So yeah, I think he'll probably get his first playoff start. So yeah, that's gonna be that might end up being probably one of the bigger blowouts of it. But last game here, this is a Monday night game, of course, for different reasons. You got Dallas and Tampa Bay, of course, Brady, playing for I don't know how many this is gonna be his time playing in the playoffs. Dallas, they I don't want to say they're living in, but they haven't been playing well the last few weeks. They did win, 2 of their last, 3 of their last 5, but they haven't been the best. So, this could be interesting though. But yeah, Sid, you start this one.
First of all, for the Cowboys, can you run the ball with Ezekiel Elliott and Mr. Tony Pollard? Can you do that between those two about 30 times a game? If that's the case, it takes pressure off of Dak Prescott, and Prescott doesn't have to worry about carrying the team and making that a crucial mistake, just like you mentioned about Kirk Cousins earlier, Christine. On the flip side for Tampa Bay, Tom Brady, can you score more than 20 points? Can you? Because I think this game will come down to whoever scores more than 20 points will win the game. I do not like either of these teams right now. I know Dallas is a 2.5 point favorite on the road. I really don't want to pick this game, but this is picking the worst of two evils. I'm going with the Cowboys because it's good grief. I'm going with the Cowboys. Seriously, what was that, Christine?
I was just saying, it all comes down to who wants it more. They both lost last week.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, Dallas looked like crap last week at Washington. And of course, Tampa didn't. I know Brady played a couple of snaps because they only had the Division 1 the week prior. So, Tampa's defense has been struggling all year, and that offense has been worse. Like you said, there's been a bunch of drama going on behind the scenes for Tampa. If you're a Tampa Bay Bucks fan, you have to cover your head in this. If you lose this on Monday. That's all I can say about that. But I'm going with Dallas. Carry on, Christine.
This is tough. This is just tough because you got Dallas, who has all the elements but hasn't really been using them, and then you got Tampa that can be a good team. It just depends on what week it is. I've seen Tom Brady play enough to know that he just thrives in playoff situations. And I think some people can agree with me on that he just thrives on these types of situations. I don't know if that team can respond to that same energy, though. So because of that, I'm going to pick Dallas.
Yeah, I've been back and forth on this one, and I don't know. Like you said, Christine, I don't know which Tampa team are you going to get. Are you going to get the Tampa team that was actually pretty decent, in that little stretch that they had? But are we going to get the Tampa we've seen lately? So our buddy Lamont, kind of covered that. If Dallas loses, you got to think Mark McCarthy is going to be, getting this pink slip and link card. So.
And if Tampa Bay loses, will Tom Brady go somewhere else next year? We'll talk about that in a sec.
Yeah, she said yes. I love how you. Oh God, I mean, this might be like the worst game of the six, I think. So, like you said, Chrissy, it's probably gonna be depending on who wants it more. So, but yeah, I might regret this. I'll pick the Buccaneers for some reason. I think Brady will tell his guys, "Come on, guys, let's we know we can play better, so let's do it." So yeah, it won't be pretty, but I'm sure. I think the Bucks pull it out. I don't know. We might see bad Dak, this time. So I don't know.
And those of our NFL picks for Super Wild Card Weekend. You're listening to Second City Sports Zone Chicago. We're live in living color. I'm Sid. That's Lakeena. It's Christine. All right, Christine. Before we get to the White Sox and other news, since we still have a few minutes left. I brought up Tom Brady. Should the Tampa Bay Buccaneers lose on Monday or whenever, if Tampa Bay doesn't win the Super Bowl next year, do you see Tom Brady going somewhere else? And if so, which team would best fit him for next season, as he will turn 46 before the start of next season?
Yes, and I don't know. I've gone through a couple of scenarios in my hand. At first, I thought, maybe he can go to the Colts, but then I realized that Matt Ryan technically has another year on his contract. So the Colts are stuck with him for another year, whether they want him as the starting quarterback or the backup quarterback. That has yet to be seen. No one's going to trade for Matt Ryan anymore. That value is long gone. So I think the Colts are stuck with that. I could see him going to, Houston. I could see him trying to revive a team and go to Houston for a little bit. I can see if Aaron Rodgers decides to leave Green Bay, I could see them doing a little flip-flop. Rodgers goes to Tampa Bay, and Tom Brady is our nightmare in the NFC after that.
But the Packers are so much as salary cap hell. If they trade Aaron Rodgers or cut him before, I think, June 1st, they owe him about $70 million or something like that. I read it. So that's going to be hard. So basically, if Aaron Rodgers wants to, if Green Bay wants a little salary cap relief, Aaron Rodgers will have to retire.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen, and it's no stranger to Tom Brady to come out of retirement. Rodgers could say that he is retiring, and then, hello, I'm with a new team. The players have done that so many times before. And the way that Rodgers has been acting the last couple of weeks, he really does think this is it. Like this is the last time he's playing in Lambeau. It's the last time he's in the NFC North division and being in Chicago again. So that's why I think that trade is possible. I also could see Brady as another pick go back to New England one more time, just because I don't think it's really working out with Zappy, or however you pronounce his name, or Mac Jones at the moment. I think Belichick needs a little bit more of a change, and I think with his relationship with Robert Kraft, that Brady could be going back there just so he can really retire and do a proper send off.
Listening to New York sports radio, I keep hearing the Jets. Of course, Zach Wilson lost the team this year. I don't think Joe
Right.
Flacco's coming back. He'll be heading toward the couch. And of course, I keep hearing also to the Las Vegas Raiders since they unfortunately booted Derek Carr out the door.
Yeah, that's another option. I mean, there's so many quarterbacks. No matter who's out there in the market, there's a lot of places that quarterbacks can go in this offseason.
Right. Well, yeah, let's talk about Derek Carr for a second. He wrote a very long, goodbye post to the Raiders and their fans. What do you think? I mean, we've heard Indy, we've heard the Jets, we've heard a few other. I even heard some people say the Bears, which okay, we'll get to them in a second, guys.
I
think
even
that people
said the Bears. I said that he would be great on the Bears,
but he'll be as a backup, not as a starting quarterback.
Exactly, and that's why I say that, because Fields hasn't had a true veteran guide him along the way. He hasn't had a real rookie season and not really anybody to look up to. And I think Derek Carr would be the perfect mold for that. I think that would be someone for Fields to look up to and even give him a little bit of competition along the way. I don't think he's going to Washington, though, because I brought this up to Andy, to my co-host, because he'd go to Washington. He's not going to Washington because when the NFL were probing through emails, the whole Raiders drama started because of the emails that they found with the Commanders organization. So I don't think he wants to get in another bed of drama after leaving a team now with a whole bunch of it. Houston, I think, would be a good pick for him. But if you're talking about a place where you can see yourself playing the rest of your career and raising a young family, I could see him going to South Carolina. I think that would be a great option for him. That would probably be my number one pick for him between South Carolina and Houston. One of those two teams I think he'll go to.
Yeah, I think, Carolina definitely needs a quarterback, so I could definitely see him going there. Now, let's talk about the Bears for a second. Of course, Kevin Warren, they hire a new president, they make it official. He was a Big Ten commissioner for the last few years. Of course, he was the team president for the Vikings. Has spearheaded that stadium that they have now up in Minnesota. Some people are already saying that he's really mainly going to do the business side of it, more or less. The Arlington Heights new stadium that still hasn't been approved yet, but. What do you guys think?
We know it's going to be approved soon.
Well, it's going to be a matter of when, right? At this point,
exactly.
Even though Soldier Field, they got this nice little video and such. But I think they're thinking about beyond the Bears. They want to host Final Fours. They want to host Big Ten championships, especially USC and UCLA joining. Not this year coming up, but the year after that. So, what do you guys think of the hire with Kevin Warren?
I don't know much about him. In all honesty, I don't know much about him to make a judgment, but from what I've seen, I've seen that he's a hard worker, that he looks like he's going to be the right fit to move this team in a different direction away from Ted Phillips. Like I said, I was laughing last week when I saw Ted Phillips is retiring after 40 years. And I said, no, that lower third should say Ted Phillips is finally retiring after 40 years with the Bears organization. So I think this is going to be a good change. And I look forward to seeing how he works with not only Ryan Poles, but the rest of the Bears staff, including the McCaskey family.
Yeah, this is all about the business side, Lakeena, as you mentioned, by getting that new stadium deal in Arlington Heights and changing the image of this franchise, and not just on the field, but off the field as well. Remember, Kevin Warren did some great things in that Big Ten conference in college football. He helped get that mega TV deal with those networks. So he did some great things there. And he worked in the NFL previously, as you mentioned, with the Minnesota Vikings getting their new stadium a few years ago. So this is all about the business side for the Bears. And you have to look at with the Bears how they're going to market themselves going forward with streaming, and because their contract is up with Fox this year as far as the Bears television network program is concerned, with the pre and post game and inside the Bears with Anthony Spice Adams and Lawrence Green, who they do a great job. But it's all about getting your name out there. Of course, the Bears are the charter franchise in the NFL, but it's all about marketing your product in new ways going into the future. And of course, it goes with along with that new stadium they're going to have probably in about 5-6 years.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think look, this is gonna be more for the business side. It'll be interesting if he is involved in the football, aspect of it. But I think Pole's gonna take the football stuff, and Mr. Warren's gonna like you said, so he helps for the new the Big Ten deal with UCLA and USC joining the conference and such. So yeah, I think this is gonna be more for the business part. I think.
Yeah, and the Bears actually have people in place to handle those things. You don't have to have people that we all know in any business is not about what you know, it's who you know. But we know the McCaskies have run this franchise like a family business after all these years. Oh, you hung out with McCaskies 20 years ago. Here's a job for you. You can run the organization. You have people that know what they're doing. They're experts in a specific field. You put them in place. Hands off for them. Don't meddle in their business. Let them do what they got to do, and that's how businesses should be ran.
It'll be interesting. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he does. Like I said before, I mean, I think Lamont said it too, and we said it too. He's gonna be there for like more the business side of it, not really necessarily the football side. So yeah, we'll be just see how they all mesh well together. So it's gonna be interesting as well. Now, of course, we talked about it on Monday. Said Liam Hendricks, the relief pitcher for the White Sox, said that he is suffering from non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and will not play, at least for right now, as he's getting treatment for cancer. Christine, what are your thoughts? And I know you want to kind of send your thoughts and prayers to him as well.
Oh yeah, I was shocked. I was sad for him, for his family. It's not a fun diagnosis to get. You can only imagine what went through his mind when he heard the word cancer. But I don't think cancer knows the type of person that they're dealing with. He is a stud on the field, and he's going to be a stud off of it too. My mom called me the day that was announced, and we usually, between her and my grandfather, we talk a lot about Chicago sports. And I said, "Oh, I thought that you were talking to me about what happened to Liam Hendricks." And she thought, "Why did he get traded?" I said, "No, worse." So thoughts to his family, thoughts and prayers to his family, and to just have him fight this, respect his privacy along the way with this too. Because I think Rick Hahn said that no one should expect to hear anything the earliest by opening day, up until that point, I should say.
Yeah, of course, we at Sports Zone Chicago and Second City Sports send our best to Liam Hendricks and his family as he's going through this challenging time. But quickly wrapping up, Lakeena, Christine, going to the baseball side, you brought up Rick Hahn, Christine. I'm being respectful when I say this, but I'm glad I'm not in Rick Hahn's shoes. They probably knew about this for some time, obviously, but they just couldn't say it publicly. But what are you going to do to fill that closer spot right now? Will you go outside the organization to bring one in, or you had to bring in one of your relievers from that bullpen to try as the main closer, where you go closer by committee, which we all know during the long run it doesn't work. But I would not like to be in Rick Hahn's shoes right now. But I know he's known about this for some time, but it's real now, because I don't want to say this, but we still had to deal with the business of baseball. You'll have to assume that Liam Hendricks will not pitch for the White Sox this year, and I know he's a free agent after this year, but you'll have to go as business as usual. And Rick Hahn is already in a tough spot.
I think you have to look at the wording and how they made the announcement. I don't know what stage he is with this, but it sounds
the doctors called it early.
Yeah, so it sounded like that there is some hope that he's gonna be at one point pitching this year. It's not going to be right away. It's not going to be in the middle of the season. It could be, September for all we know. But I know one thing: it's hard to replace a fiery mentality like Liam Hendricks. The energy that he brought on the field and in the clubhouse, that's irreplaceable. I said this, if it wasn't last week, it was the week before, that I think he is probably one of the best closers since Bobby Jenks. And that hasn't been with the White Sox in a long time. So if they see a future with Liam Hendricks and a future beyond the organization, with the organization, I think they're going to stay in-house and look at the bullpen for someone that could potentially take that closing spot. Maybe it's a rookie. Maybe it's someone that we don't even know of yet in the organization that could step up to the plate literally and take on that role until Liam Hendricks is strong enough to come back. They try to I can't remember Clayton Kershaw. They tried to have a little duel between him and Liam when they were saying, all right, who's going to be the closer? I'll never forget that day because I think it was the game that they just got him on the team. And they did the whole light show, this Sid being at the games. They did the whole light show for Liam. And it's something that I have never seen before for a closer pitcher to have that type of a theatric and performance like that before he even gets on the mound. So that just says to me, the White Sox believe in him, believe in his abilities, and believe that he's going to fight the good fight and beat this cancer.
Yeah, hopefully we can do, of course, our thoughts and prayers and get well soon to Mr. Hendricks. Now, real quick before we disperse here, what are you guys looking forward to this weekend? I know you were well. First, Chrissy, I'll say this. I know you were shocked by Georgia basically dominating TCU for the national championship game. What was your thoughts on that?
Oh, I wasn't shocked at all. I thought that this was going to be a game, not a beatdown. So I think around the second quarter, I just said, oh, forget it. Like this is a lost cause. What are you going to do? I'm happy for my South Dakota Jackrabbits, though. They got their FCS championship finally.
Yeah,
it was
finally, right? They've been close.
Yeah, so that was a fun game to watch, and yeah, so I'm excited to the wild card weekend.
Real quick before we head out, I know we got less than 2 minutes left. Going back to the White Sox and much when we say happier news, the White Sox released details about adding a 500 level, 2 new bars to the 500 level in sections 516 and 546 for the upcoming 2023 season. More details will be released very soon, but it sounds like that all fans will can access this bar, whether you have a ticket at the upper deck level or the club level or the lower level. All fans are available. Will be available. Of available fans, obviously you attend the game, can visit those 2 bars in the upper deck. So Christine, if you sit in the lower level, you can visit the upper deck, not just to go say hi to your friends. You're gonna take a drink as well.
Boy, I mean, if that's a rough level, the upper level, because it really is away from everything else. So to give them an opportunity to have some entertainment up there, I think that's great. It's a great addition.
Because as of right now, not to cut you off, Christine, but real quick, as of right now, if you had an upper deck ticket, you could not walk around the lower level. I don't know if that's still going to be in effect, but as of right now, everybody who has a ticket, no matter where you say, you can visit those 2 bars up there in the upper deck.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'm not saying when it will be, but I'm looking to have my bachelorette party at a White Sox game. So bring it on. That's what I'm all about.
Oh my gosh. Oh yeah.
I guess we give Christina an idea.
Right. We might have that. So. But she would be the first person to have their bachelorette party over at I'm not gonna call it. But
at the new spot though, the new upper deck spot though.
That might.
I like being close to the field. I'm a little selfish in that way.
I think we all are.
Yeah, of course you got the Cubs convention going on this weekend. So so I'm sure Marquee will have coverage of that all weekend, so you guys can check that out. If you can, of course, like you said, Christine, you got Super Wild Card Weekend, you got college football, college hoops, I should say, and NBA as well. So yeah, you got some great stuff coming up with this long weekend. With that said, you can follow me at Keena McGee on the Twitter and at Keena McGee on the IG.
You can follow yours truly, Sydney Brown, on the Twitter and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, at SidKid80, SIDKID80, SIDKID80. Christine, where can the lovely people follow you on social media?
Yeah, they can follow me at Twitter at @Manika_KXRB.
And don't forget, you can watch us anytime, any place you want on Roku TV if you have the app, or if you just you have the stick with you. Just like you said right there, just go to Roku television. Any device, whether it's your smartphone, your PC, your television. Like I say, you can check our show, Sean and Maya, the Smoke Fellas, and What's Up Cuz. I know we got some other shows too that are doing. I know Maya's doing a spiritual and wellness show that she does, just for the Roku app. So look, just check it out and such. You can watch and listen to our shows wherever you want. Also to Award Media, don't forget you can listen to us wherever you get your podcast. On Award Media. So our buddy Kyle will post this later today, and it'll be right there for you.
Yes, so enjoy the weekend, everybody. Super Wild Card Weekend. Lakeena mentioned the Bulls. We won't wreck your brain, Christine. We'll ask you about them next week. But the Bulls will be playing on Sunday before heading out to Paris to take on the Pistons next Thursday. We have the NFL, of course, college hoops, and everything else going on for Lakeena, Christine, I'm Sid. This has been Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. And yes, we'll be back on Monday, even though it's a holiday. It's an important one, as you well know.
Right.
So, Lakeena, take us home.
All right. So, be safe out there, folks. Like I said, we will be back on Monday despite the long holiday weekend. But look, you can listen to us. And, tell your friends to watch this to us as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, if they're off on Monday. So, don't sweat it. Go Bulls. Don't make fools of yourselves. Holla.
Holla.